Okay.
All right. Do we have everyone who wants to be watching is let in and we're now live?
Yes.
Fantastic. In that case, I am Anna Stout, the chair of the Colorado Geographic Naming Advisory Board, and I'll call this meeting to order. And we'll start with welcome. We'll start with roll call and introductions. So I'll just name people across my screen in order, and if you could unmute yourself and introduce yourself, that would be wonderful. So we'll start with you, Johnny.
Johnny Abrams, Executive Assistant for DNR.
Tim?
Tim Mock, Deputy Director for the Department of Natural Resources.
Chris?
Chris Arendt, Communications Director at DNR.
Thomas?
Thomas Andrews, Professor of History and Director of the Center of the American West at CU Boulder.
Thank you. Jill?
Jill Carlson, Engineering Geologist and Deputy Director of the Colorado Geological Survey.
Matt?
Matt Steen, Director of Telluride Helitrax in Telluride, Colorado.
Catherine?
Hi, Catherine Redhorse, and I serve as the Executive Director for the Colorado Commission of Indian Affairs.
Eric?
Good evening, Eric Bergman. I'm of the Division of Local Government in the Department of Local Affairs. Thank you.
Great. Other Eric?
Good evening, Eric Ishiwata. I'm faculty member in the Department of Ethnic Studies at Colorado State University and the Director of Civil Rights and Access for the Office of Engagement and Extension.
Thank you. Nikki?
Hi, everyone. Nikki Gonzalez, Vice Provost and History Professor at Regis University.
Thanks. Stacy?
Hi, everyone. Stacy Coleman, Assistant Director for Tribal Affairs at the Colorado Department of Natural Resources.
Sarah?
Afternoon. I'm Sarah Rollins. I'm your Assistant Attorney General for the board.
Thank you. Shelley?
Hi, Shelley Zahnizer, Executive Secretary, Board on Geographic Names.
Thank you. And then Tisha.
Hi, everyone. This is Tisha Morrow. I'm State Representative from Pueblo.
Fantastic. All right. I do believe that means we have a quorum, so we can continue with our agenda. The first thing on our agenda is agenda item 3, to review and approve this should be the June agenda. So is there any discussion about the agenda, any corrections or additions, or anything that anyone wishes to have removed?
Madam Chair, motion to approve the agenda.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. We've got a motion from Tim Mock and a second by Eric Bergman. All in favor of adopting the agenda?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
I think I saw hands on everyone else. Is there any nays? All right, the agenda is approved. Agenda item number 4 is to review and approve our October summary. Are there any corrections or commentary about the October summary? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the October summary.
Thank you. We have a second?
A second.
Thank you. We have a motion from Tim Mock to approve the October summary and a second from Nikki Gonzalez. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, please say nay. The October motion passes and the October summary is approved. So that brings us to agenda item 5. Any board member updates or announcements? Tim, we'll start with you.
Madam Chair, thank you. Good morning, members of the board. Tim Mock, Deputy Director for the Department of Natural Resources. I just first want to start off by saying on behalf of the Department of Natural Resources, I sincerely apologize for the technical difficulties at our last meeting, and to the general public that is watching. and the Zoom bomb that we experienced, entirely unacceptable. I do want to explain, especially for those in the public that are watching, appreciate you being here. The new format that you see today, we are conducting meetings going forward, consistent with our other meetings as webinars. So, unfortunately, I think what we really enjoyed about our past board meetings was the intimacy and the opportunity to exchange and converse with the public in a real sort of way and have them as sort of part of our meeting. That doesn't mean that they are excluded. We do have a raise hand function at the bottom. There's a Q&A I believe that they might have access to. We've also got a form on our website that they can access to ask questions. So whenever we have public comment, that would be an appropriate time to raise your hand. Also, when we've got guests or sponsors to speak on a matter, raise your hand, and Miss Abad will be able to elevate you to be a part of the meeting and share your comments, I believe. Is that correct, Johnny?
Yes, I can unmute them.
Okay, that's perfect. I appreciate that. That set us back a little bit here. And we've kind of had a series of setbacks over the last couple of months, and obviously we had a busy legislative session, and so I appreciate everybody hanging in there with us. We'll discuss this a little bit next month, towards the end of the meeting, but I'm thinking to try and get us back on track and get back into the rhythm of things. I know we've also had some board turnover lately. We'd like to see if we can pull a meeting together in July and really kind of maybe thereafter more consistent kind of basis to get us to back on track with keeping up with the backlog of proposals that we have and continuing to work through those, and then just not allowing as much time to go between our meetings in which we're able to kind of stay on track with follow up and such. So appreciate that opportunity, those opportunities. Here at the Department of Natural Resources, had another relatively successful legislative session. So we appreciate Representative Morrow and her colleagues for all of their work down there at the Capitol. As you know, the state is experiencing a budget crunch here, and really kind of required some measures. But all in all, I think DNR came through, and so we continue to do pretty well with the funding, especially the majority of our divisions are enterprise or cash funded and do not receive general funds. So we are not quite as impacted as other agencies necessarily. Along those lines, just one update. We've got some changes occurring with our staffing. Our Deputy Director for Policy, Kelly Romero Heaney, is stepping down at the end of the month, and so we'll be looking to replace her as she works with our policy team and our assistant directors in particular on moving policies forward through the department. So with that, if there's any questions, Johnny, I might just look to you and see in terms of the new format here, if there's any other instructions that we or the general public might need to know for these meetings.
No, I think that you covered it. This is a test meeting for me, so we'll have to roll with it. But like Tim mentioned, if you have a question, you can raise your hand or put it in the Q&A down at the bottom of the screen. The panel members can see those questions.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Are there any other updates from board members or announcements? Okay, seeing nobody unmuting or raising hands, we will move on then to agenda item 6, which is our outreach updates. And this is from Stacy Coleman.
Thank you very much, Chair Stout. A couple of just brief updates on some staffing changes at both of the TIPO offices for Ute Mountain Ute and Southern Ute First, and then I'll give some updates on the proposals that are up for final consideration today there. Earlier this year, Terry Knight, a respected elder and longtime Tribal Historic Preservation Office Director for the Ute Mountain Ute Tribe, retired after 32 years of dedicated work to preserving and promoting the Ute Mountain Ute tribe's cultural heritage. In April, new staff were appointed. Mark Wing is the new Ute Mountain Ute Tribal Historic Preservation Office Director, and Kelly Yanito is a new program manager. So we're trying to work with them to get them up to speed. But as you can imagine, TIPO offices are really inundated with a lot of different requests. So we have met with Mark and are hoping to meet with Keely as soon as possible too as well, so we can get them fully updated collectively on the CGNAB's work there. We also want to congratulate Cassandra Atencio, who is also an elder and longtime Tribal Historic Preservation Officer for the Southern Ute Indian Tribe, on her retirement too in April. She's made a huge impact on preserving and promoting the Southern Ute Indian Tribe's cultural heritage as well. And really both Mr. Knight and Ms. Atencio were generous in giving their time to the important statewide efforts concerning cultural resources, and also very thoughtful in sharing Ute cultural teachings to both educate state employees, including DNR and CGNAP. So I just wanted to give a thank you to both of them here publicly, as well as congratulate them on their well-earned retirement there. In regards to the two proposals scheduled for final consideration today, Bainsdraw and Mount Hughes, tribal outreach engagement has been ongoing since the proposals were submitted to the U.S. Board of Geographic Names for considerations. Once these proposals were published in the USBGN Quarterly Review, tribal outreach and opportunity for consultation was then initiated by USBGN staff. No comments or responses were received from that initial effort. When the proposals were then formally introduced by the CGNAB, another outreach and engagement effort and opportunity for consultation was initiated by our staff here. In the CGNAB, just a reminder that our procedural rules say that there is a 120-day formal response time for comments or a request for additional time for consideration to be made by tribal nations. Those outreach efforts by CGNAB staff were initiated in May when these proposals were first introduced, I believe. And that 120-day response time has passed. And despite additional outreach efforts beyond the 120-day procedural response timeframe, we haven't received any comments or requests for additional time from either Southern Ute or Ute Mountain Ute tribal leadership or staff. So in response to, based on that specific type of tribal outreach protocol, I would say that both the Bainsdraw and Mount Hughes proposals are otherwise ready for final consideration by the board, unless there's another reason outside of that comes up today. And in terms of ongoing outreach on the various Kit Carson Mountain proposals, we're still working to get fully the Ute Mountain Ute new tribal staff fully updated there on all the different proposals. As you know, Southern Ute Indian Tribe, their staff has indicated a potential to provide a proposal for that particular renaming effort too, but they first want to consult further with the Ute Mountain Ute TIPO staff, since previous TIPO director Terry Knight had indicated wanting to do a naming ceremony first. So we're still working on that. And that concludes all the tribal outreach updates that I have for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Stacy. All right, then that brings us to the USBGN updates. Who is handling those today?
Shelley.
Thank you, Shelley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So just one update for today, that the next Domestic Names Committee meeting is scheduled for this Thursday, June 12th. I wanted to make note that the new starting time is 2 p.m. Eastern. It used to be 9:30. It will be ongoing at 2 p.m. from here on out. We have about 25 to 27 items that will be voted on, none of them in Colorado. And if anyone has any questions or comments or concerns, they can email me at bgnexec@usgs.gov. And that's all I have for today. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Now we get into the meat of our agenda. This will take us to agenda item number 8. This is final consideration for USBGN case number 5961. This is naming an unnamed feature or changing a name from an unnamed feature to Baines Draw. And I will turn this over to Deputy Director Mock to give us the full case for consideration.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This case summary, if you remember, is a proposal to make official the commemorative name Baines Draw for a 4.2 mile long valley in Montezuma County. The valley trends west-south to join Sandstone Canyon on land managed by the Bureau of Land Management. The proponent, whose surname is Bain, reports that the valley has been known as Baines Draw or Baines Canyon since 1919. Eugene Bain and Roland Bain, who homesteaded the area between 1919 and 1926. Eugene Bain is buried in Sunnyside Cemetery in Lewis, 5.5 miles southwest of the source of the stream. Original USBGN outreach was to Montezuma County and the 574 recognized tribes. We did receive, I should say that the USBGN received support from the Montezuma County commissioners in regards to this. We've had this under consideration a couple of times here. You can go back in the meeting, in your meeting packet. I won't sort of review the 5/16/24 or the 8/26/24 updates. We did discuss it also briefly at our October 2024 meeting. We were still curious if we would have received any tribal input, which Ms. Coleman had indicated that that time has expired, and we have not received any additional response from the tribes, despite some additional outreach there. And so I think this is kind of, I know that we discussed doing perhaps maybe some additional outreach. I think early on, it's Dr. Gonzalez and Dr. Way, and Dr. Gonzalez, not to put you on the spot, I don't know that you were able to can't remember, you might have made the October meeting. That was such a traumatic experience that I can't remember who all was there. But not sure if you had any updates or any additional thoughts that we might consider.
I have a little bit of information. So let me bring up I'm on a little screen here. So let me bring up my email. Let's see. So this is Baines Draw.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So this is information from Dr. Jared Orsi's intern, Stephen, at the CSU Public Lands History Center, as well as information from History Colorado's military history curator, Sydney Mock. And so Stephen says nothing on Hughes, nothing. Yeah, this is okay. That's the right one, right? Hughes. No, that's the red
Baines.
feather. Sorry.
We're on Baines, not the.
Okay, came up with little on Baines as well. Colorado Historical Newspapers yields their names a couple communities they lived in Montezuma County, the name of Roland Baines' wife, their marriage date, and the fact that she was sick in 1920, perhaps Spanish flu. There's a Eugene Bain, who was a boxer in Colorado in the 1930s, but the dates don't seem to add up. So Stephen wasn't sure if this is the guy we're looking for. Googling Roland Baines yields a little more, so he's going to send Stephen fishing there, but didn't find anything. And then as far as History Colorado's military history curator, Sydney Mock, says, I couldn't find anything in the collection related to, oh no, that's the wrong one. No, sorry, that's all I have. So very little information out there.
Okay, so I think that's kind of where this leaves us. Little information to follow. Madam Chair, I don't know if the proponent, George Bain, I don't see Mr. Bain in attendance, but if there is perhaps somebody that is associated with the proponent who is attending, please raise your hand if you'd like to discuss this matter any further. Otherwise, I think we'll kind of look to the board to see what next steps we'd like to take. This is up for final consideration. If we've got any additional questions, any further research, or if we're ready to make a motion on this.
So we'll open that up for discussion. Any additional or any thoughts, any opening thoughts from board members? Is there anyone who is prepared to make a motion one way or another? All right, and if nobody's comfortable making a motion, probably great time to have discussion about discomfort with making a motion if there's anybody who has reservations specifically. This is up for final consideration, so I would anticipate that we will take a final vote this evening unless there are concerns from board members about moving forward with this proposal.
Madam Chair, if I may, I do recall we've had, and this has been part of our meetings, and it's always part of some of the considerations about commemorative names. I would be comfortable supporting this, given the information. Appreciate Dr. Gonzalez doing a little extra outreach there. This is it is a commemorative name for Baines Draw. It sounds like it's been known as Baines Draw since 1919. The county local government has supported it. So outside of that, I don't necessarily have a reason in putting a name that is in local use and make it official makes sense to me. So I would be willing to support this.
Thank you. And thanks for that summary. Essentially, we are here to decide whether this meets the criteria for naming. So are there any other thoughts or questions or any requests for additional research? Catherine, you're on mute.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Hi. I don't necessarily have, I realize that it has been in use as a local common name. I guess my concern is, and I realize that we've done outreach to both of the Ute tribes on this, but being in the area that it is, I think just I would have liked to have seen, I guess, other recommendations on the area or the land. And so I think that's realizing that we are past our dates to receive recommendations and a response from the two Ute tribes. I think that is just, I just wanted to share my hesitancy there with moving forward. Not even moving forward, it with saying yes as my vote.
Thank you. Any other contributions to the discussion? Jill?
What was the verdict on apostrophe or no apostrophe? I know that just reading back through the minutes, there was some discussion about that. And the proponent's name, it's not clear if it's Bain or Baines with an S at the end.
The proponent's surname is Bain without the S, but what I see in the documents is not an apostrophe.
Okay.
Bainstra without an apostrophe.
Okay.
Deputy Director Mock, if you see anything different in there that would indicate that there would need to be the apostrophe, please correct me.
No, I believe Ms. Annister from the USBGN kind of had some input regarding this before. I think that this proposal being submitted by a George Bain, I'm assuming that is a relationship and has this characterized probably along the way it's utilized locally, but that would be speculative on my part.
I'm looking at the handwritten domestic geographic name proposal form that was submitted by the proponent, and in that document it does have an apostrophe, but all of the summary documents do not. So I think we should consider this with the apostrophe since that was the proponent's request.
Good catch.
It's because I've seen this packet 3 times. I know it better than I know than I normally know. All right, any other discussion? I am happy to entertain any motion that any board member would like to make at this point.
I'll make a motion to approve an unnamed feature in Montezuma County to Baines Dross with an apostrophe S for case number 5961.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Jill. Any discussion on the motion specifically? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. And I'd ask that because we're doing this in a different format, please unmute to cast your vote so we make sure that we catch everyone. So all in favor of approving the motion made, the motion made by Tim Mock to approve USBGN case number 5961 to change an unnamed feature to Baines Draw in Montezuma County. Please say aye.
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 Any opposed, please say nay. Shelley has her hand up, so let me make sure before I finalize the vote count. Shelley, did you want to say something? Or is that your guess?
No, that is I have a comment to make before we complete voting regarding the apostrophes, is that we as in the BGN would have told the proponent that the BGN prohibits apostrophes.
Okay, that would make sense then as to how it's presented in all of the proposal documents. I don't think, Tim, is that in line with your motion?
Yeah, I would amend my motion then to accommodate the USBGN's requirements.
Wonderful.
I second that.
Wonderful. Does anybody want to change their yes vote given that correction? Okay, that motion passes, and the case number 5961, that unnamed feature in Montezuma County, will be henceforth known as Baines Draw.
Chair.
Well, that will be our recommendation. Yes.
Chair, I just wanted to have my vote abstain. I don't think you asked for it abstain.
Oh, thank you. I did not.
So
Thanks.
I just wanted to record that. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, me too.
Great. Thank you guys.
Yeah.
Thanks for reminding me that. All right. So that will be our recommendation. Agenda item 9 is final consideration for USBGN case number 5937. This is an unnamed feature, changing it to Mount Hughes. Deputy Director, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is as you mentioned, USBGN case number 5937 that was received in 2022 to name a currently unnamed feature to Mount Hughes in Larimer County. It's a fairly extensive proposal that was provided here. The new name Mount Hughes is proposed for an unnamed 10,884-foot summit in Larimer County in Roosevelt National Forest, approximately 35 miles northwest of Fort Collins. The proposal was submitted by a representative of the Red Feather Lakes Historical Society. The name would honor Colonel John C. Hughes, who was alive between 1922 and 2002, and who is described by the proponent as a longtime and illustrious resident of Red Feather Lakes Village. Colonel Hughes is recognized as one of the 50 most decorated veterans in American military history. Fought in 3 wars, World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. He received 79 medals and citations, including 2 Distinguished Service Medals, 5 Purple Hearts, a Silver Star, the Bronze Star, the Medal of St. Maurice, the patron saint of infantry. He was medal number 9, and just as a point of reference, Bob Dole and Colin Powell received numbers 7 and 8 respectively. He was also nominated for the Congressional Medal of Honor, but reportedly turned it down. Hughes was the most decorated serviceman in the 100-year history of the 29th Infantry Regiment, which in 2000 made Hughes an honorary colonel commander for life. In 1954, Mr. Hughes bought Colonel Hughes bought a vacation cabin in Red Feather Lakes, to which he moved upon retirement after 33 years of military service. And he quickly became a volunteer community leader, serving on the board of nearly every organization. This included terms as president and vice president of the Mountain Lions Club, the Red Feather Property Owners Association, and the Red Feather Historical Society. He loved taking his sons hiking and fishing in the vicinity of the summit, which is proposed to be named in his honor. The proponent of this is John Hafnor. I hope I pronounced that correct. And it is supported by Larimer County and Red Feather Historical Society. We introduced this last year in May of 2024. If you remember, Dr. Way, who served on this board from its inception, said that this should be approved, given his distinguished record to honor Colonel Hughes. We did want to extend outreach to the tribes. And again, we had it up for consideration in August of 2024, and with still not having received any specific feedback from the Southern Ute or Ute Mountain Ute Indian tribes. And then we considered it again briefly on at our October 2024 meeting in there. Again, we would like to actually have heard from some of the historians. Again, I believe this was actually, well, Dr. Gonzalez has some additional information on this. So why don't I turn it over to her for that?
Sure. So I found slightly more on Hughes. And this again is from Stephen, who is Dr. Orsi's intern at CSU and History Colorado's military history curator. So from Stephen, nothing on Hughes in historic Colorado newspapers. He founded the Red Feather Historical Society, or this is from Jared. So he found the Red Feather Historical Society bio and the Fort Collins Museum of Discovery audio and transcript. Stephen read the transcript and doesn't provide much about Hughes himself. Hughes talks a lot about historic preservation in Colorado and apropos of our current moment, plans for restoring buildings in front of the coming centennial and bicentennial, I guess 150, 250. Okay, so, and then from Sydney, at History Colorado, she said, I couldn't find anything in the collection related to Colonel Hughes, nor anything relevant in the newspaper database. I found his biography from the Red Feather Historical Society, which they likely have already used, in the archives of the Fort Collins Museum. There appears to be an oral history with Colonel Hughes from 1975 about a community project. There aren't a lot of military databases with readily available information due to privacy laws. If the group is interested in seeing Colonel Hughes's service records, they can submit a request through the National Archives. That's all we have.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Gonzalez. Pardon me here while I'm getting up to speed real quick and just reviewing the USBGN. I don't know if we've got any additional outreach from any of the land managers. And I don't see the proponent on is a part on our meeting right now.
Tim,
but
I do see a
recognize that
Hughes.
we've got a couple of Hughes in attendance. So perhaps, Madam Chair, we invite them to say a few words.
Yeah, so it looks like Karen has her hand raised. So Johnny, can we allow her to unmute?
Okay, I think she can do it now.
I am unmuted. Yes, thank you for allowing me to speak. I do believe we did copy in several Coloradoan newspaper articles on Colonel Hughes being and I think that's in the document. And I know it's newspaper articles and they are what they are, but I think it pretty much describes him to the T. And he was a character and a wonderful man and a strong believer in this community. And Red Feather, if you've never been here, you should come. It's a gem of a community. It's beautiful. It's nothing like Estes Park, but it's beautiful like Estes Park because we just have, it's a quiet place to come. Colonel Hughes was an admirable man in that he didn't really tout himself a lot. So I don't know why, I'm not sure why you couldn't find his records in the military, but if you did do the research, everything that was put in that document is true. And we have all of his medals on our wall here in Red Feather.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Thanks, Karen. Are there any questions for Karen, or is there anyone else who wishes to speak in favor or on this topic at all in the attendees? Thomas?
Yeah, hi. I just had a question. Has any outreach been attempted with, Cheyenne and Arapahoe or Northern Cheyenne or Northern Arapahoe at Wind River?
Stacy Coleman here. No, there hasn't. Our outreach starts with just the Ute, Mountain Ute, and Southern Ute, unless it's suggested that we do anything further by the board.
Any additional questions either for Karen Hughes or for the board? Okay, thank you, Karen. I'll open it up now for discussion then.
And this is Catherine. In regards to Thomas's question, and Stacy, I don't know if we did direct proposals, but I think over the last few months that we've had this as a proposal, I want to say that our team did have those monthly meetings. We haven't had that in a couple of months, but I feel like previous months that we've had in which those tribes are invited to attend as their TIPOs. And so they would have received information, but it's not a direct outreach.
That's correct, Catherine. I mean, I don't know the number of meetings. We'd have to look back at our calendars there. Since those meetings haven't been fully attended by all TIPOs, but they would have received that from a CGNAB and CCIA outreach standpoint. And I guess just to add, the USBGN does do outreach to all federally recognized tribes on all proposals. So they would have also received notification then too.
I'll just note that this was introduced May 16th of 2024. So to the extent that we don't know how many meetings have taken place in that time, it has been it's been about 13 months since this was introduced. Any other questions or discussion? All right, would anybody like to make a motion regarding this proposal? This is final consideration, so we are here to entertain a motion for final consideration unless anybody is asking to move to postpone this for any reason.
I'll make the motion.
Okay.
To approve.
Okay. We have a motion to approve USBGN case 5937. And the request is to name an unnamed feature in Larimer County, Mount Hughes. Do we have is that your motion, Eric?
It is.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion on the table by Eric Bergman and a second by Thomas Andrews for final consideration of USBGN 5937, naming an unnamed feature in Larimer County, Mount Hughes. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, we are ready to take a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Nay. Any abstentions? All right, hearing none, that motion carries, and that will be our recommendation. We're ready now to move to agenda item 10. This is the introduction of case USBGN case 6084. This is an unnamed feature, changing or naming it Lake Reed. So, Deputy Director, I'll let you lay the case.
Sure. Thanks, Madam Chair. USBGN case 6084. The USBGN receipt date was June 17th, 2023. The feature type is a reservoir. It's currently unnamed. The proposed name is Lake Reed, and the reason for is that it's named for the reeds that have grown in the lake. It is within the city and county of Denver. And the proponent is Alexander Mendieta, if I pronounced that correct. If not, I apologize. And I don't see Alexander in the attending the meeting right now. The feature is 1.5 acres. The proponent states that the lake is located adjacent to the Frontier Airlines headquarters building, that the couple hundred employees here at the headquarters refer to this lake as Reed Lake. The name Lake Reed is not tied to anything special. There are no amazing stories around it. The name just came up and has stuck over the years, and it is sad not to see it on Google Maps or known by the state. It's a solid little lake that brings joy to people. When asked to elaborate on the name, how long it's been used for, and if it refers to a person, the proponent replied that it refers to the reeds that grown in the lake. And the name has been used for around 3 years. And so if you take that from when this was received by the USBGN, thereabouts of 2020, there is reportedly a path around the reservoir. Outreach was to the city and county of Denver and the federally recognized tribes by the USBGN. I don't know that we've received, and I don't know if Shelley might be able to help me out here. I don't know that we've received any input from the city of Denver, and it does not look like we've received any of the tribes, but obviously we would initiate our own outreach to the tribes. And with that, this is a introduction, so we won't take this matter up for final consideration until we've exhausted our outreach.
Shelley?
Yeah, there's Shelley.
Yeah, hi. I see that we did make a request for an opinion to Denver City, but it does not look like we received a response from them.
Thank
So
you.
no additional input at this time.
Thank you. So what the board's considering at this point is whether to move this proposal forward for consideration, whether to refer this to a subcommittee. If we're not sure whether we're ready to move it forward, certainly if it were to be moved forward, we would initiate outreach, specific outreach to the tribes, and any other additional outreach and or research that the board requests. So does anybody have a position or a suggestion or questions about this in order to make a decision about whether to recommend this move forward or not? Jill? Jill, you're muted.
There we go. Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. Looking at the historical topo map service, I don't see a water feature at the coordinates that are on the form, but I was kind of doing that on the fly. And I'm looking at the 2022 Montbello quad. Let me go back a little bit farther in time. Let's see here. If I click on 2019, let's go way farther back. Okay, there's kind of, I see what, okay, there's a contour line with hatch marks pointing in, which means it's a depression, but there's no indication that there's water in it. Let me go to Google Earth imagery. I'm going to go ahead and mute myself and you can all keep discussing, and I'll do a little bit more research here on the terrain.
I do want to point out really quickly that there was a question, a Q&A that was put in the chat from Karen Hughes about what the next steps in the process are. And Karen, since we are on the next item, we will respond to you via email following the meeting with the next steps.
I can type a response. I just figured that out. I cleared it. I messed up trying to figure that out, but now I've got it down. So I'll get a response here while we.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay. Anything else? Thank you, Jill, for looking at that. Other thoughts from the board?
Yeah, I have a couple comments. I've looked through Google Earth and have gone back in time, and it does look just like a surface water holding or retention area for all the industry that has occurred over there. It looks like it showed up sometime around 2011, 2010, 2009 maybe. Looks like they started grading it and stuff, and there's just a lot of it's just surface water retention for water storage, and there's quite a few other water features like that in the area, but it's not a natural feature; it's man-made.
So I suppose I'm not an expert on water retention ponds, but does that mean that this really is not necessarily a permanent feature?
I think, from all the industry that's built around there, it's all like large parking lots and buildings that all the surface water gets diverted, and a lot of these big industries need a place to store water rather than just diverting it into natural waterways. So this is just one of those and one of many in the area.
I agree with Matt. It looks like a constructed detention or retention pond to me. And in 2015, it looks, Google Earth imagery in 2015 shows it dry. So I'm not sure that this is a feature worthy of naming. That's just my opinion.
And Tim, is there precedent for naming water retention ponds or features similar to this one?
There is not. I don't know that we've named some type of runoff or retention pond. We've not done that. This is the first time something like this has come to the board. I can't speak to how permanent it is or is not. That might be a question also for our Division of Water Resources, given that that's that's a question we could follow up with them in terms of water storage or what how that functions essentially. I think the other thing that I would just sort of note again, I don't know that we've got a perfect science on this. We kind of discussed it briefly at our October meeting. It is entirely reasonable for us to also consider whether a feature should be named. Do we need to name every single feature on the planet or within the USBGN's purview? And I think that's a question that they're beginning to wrestle with as well. But I don't want to speak for Shelley. But that's something that we certainly should. And there's Shelley.
Yeah, thanks, Tim. Just to let you know that the board will name temporary features, and in the event that this lake is no longer, then it would move to a historical categorization in GNIS.
Shelley, is it a common request you get, and is it something you grant that the board grants frequently to name features like this one?
As to the frequency, I don't think I can speak to that with my tenure so far, but it is something that we do.
I'll note, Thomas, I see your hand raised. I'll also note that we do have Jenny Runyon here as an attendee, and certainly she is no longer working, but if Jenny wanted to opine, we would certainly entertain that. But Thomas, go ahead and ask your question or comment.
Yeah, I guess I'd sort of two questions. I mean, and sorry, thank you for acknowledging me. first question is whether this qualifies as a lake. I mean, it sounds pretty small. So I'm not sure if lake is the right moniker for it. And then secondly, I'm wondering, if it is sounds like it's a sort of engineering feature. I would like to know whether the city of Denver has some sort of other name for it. I would imagine that they, manage the water system and so forth and have names for different things. So I wonder if this actually does have a name from them. So thank you.
Thank you. And I'll note that this board is considering the proposals before us. So if this board were to deem, for example, that Lake Reed is not an appropriate name because absent the other consideration, I think that's been brought forward already, but if specifically the board felt that Lake Reed is not the appropriate name because it's not a lake, rather we would not change, we're not looking to add new names, we wouldn't necessarily change that name, though we could respond to the proponent and indicate that to the proponent so that the proponent would have the opportunity to amend their proposal. So I just want to name that so that we know that it's not up to us to come up with other names. And this came up in October as well. And I just wanted to remind us all of that. I saw Jenny on as a panelist now.
Thank you all. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Great. It's great to be with this group again. And thank you for letting me speak. As you say, I did retire, so I'm just speaking as an ex-BGN staffer. Your questions are all very valid, and the BGN does allow names for man-made retention ponds. We don't get a whole lot of them, but certainly there are some that have been named. They are under the BGN's purview. I'm sure a search of GNIS database might give us some numbers if that would help for your next meeting. And as far as the use of the term lake, there's really no requirement that a lake must be natural. I think we did a study many years ago that reservoirs, which really is what this is, a man-made pond, are oftentimes named lake something. There seems to be a trend, if it's lake something, it's man-made. If it's something lake, it's natural. Although, again, that's not a hard and fast rule by any means. So this would certainly be acceptable as far as the BGN is concerned. But yeah, I would agree that the city ought to have some say in this. They probably helped construct this perhaps, or somebody in the water department might know. They might have some construction records going back a few years and gave it a name. So I would definitely encourage you all to keep trying a little harder with the county and city to respond. But bottom line is Lake Reed would be acceptable to the US BGN. As a retiree, I guess I would want a absolute confirmation that Reed is not the name of a individual or a coworker or employee. Is it really just for the reeds that grow around the lake? But we asked the proponent, and he said, no, that's all it is, just for the reeds themselves, the fauna, not a person. So hope that helps a little bit. Thank you.
That's actually extremely helpful. Thank you so much, Jenny. And we hope you're enjoying retirement.
Oh, absolutely. Highly recommended.
So given that, I also struggle with opening up, what feels like it could be a Pandora's box of naming every unnamed feature in the state, especially because when I think about some of the reasoning for why we want to name unnamed features, it's often for being a point of reference when we're talking about something in the wilderness, and it would be useful or beneficial to first responders or search crews or otherwise. This one doesn't feel like it has that same import, but given the representations just now by Jenny and also some of the conversation that's come up, it does seem to me that unless there's a majority of the board that wants to not move forward with a recommendation, all out, like completely not move forward, it seems that there is some research that may still need to be done for the board to take this under full consideration, for the board to decide whether to recommend this for consideration or not. Does the board feel comfortable, uncomfortable with that summary of what I think I'm hearing?
I would feel comfortable pursuing it and doing a little bit more research with the city of Denver. And I'm happy to step into that role.
Thank you.
That information.
Is there any other research or outreach that the board would like to add to our, if we're going to move this into a subcommittee or a research position, let's make sure that we get as much of it down as possible. Catherine?
Hi, thanks. I was just going to recommend, since the city and county in Denver does have the Denver American Indian Commission, is to do outreach to them as well. They are not a tribal nation, but they are members of the American Indian and Alaska Native communities that reside in Denver, and I think that would be an important piece just to get their perspective and opinion as well.
Great. And who will take that on? Is that something that Stacy, you would handle for us?
Yes, Chair Stout, I would handle that to the commission. Yes.
Thank you. Thomas.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I mean, I guess one other matter for research potentially is, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we only really have like the applicant's representation that people, that this name is actually in widespread use. I don't know how we typically choose that, but right now it kind of seems like, a very small sample to say that, oh yeah, people know this as Lake Reed. So it seems like we should kind of ground truth that a little bit more too. I'm not sure how to do it, but yeah, thank you.
Thank you. One thing I do want to add to the list of research, and I'll come back to that, Thomas, but I want to make sure while I'm thinking about it, Shelley, will you add the question of sort of maybe a comparable look or a number of features similar to these man-made type features, so that we can have an idea of the frequency with which the USBGN considers these kinds of features?
Yes, I'll take a note to do that.
Thank you. Any thoughts, Tim, or anyone else, in terms of Thomas's suggestion of seeking some confirmation that this is in fact in widespread quote unquote use?
I mean, I think he's got an excellent point. I mean, it's really interesting how we run that one to ground.
Is that something we can put back on the proponent and request the proponent gather letters of support or something?
Maybe even starting with the city of Denver as well, to see if they're aware of anything. And I don't know if we could reach back out to the supporter to try and characterize the level of use that this really has.
Is there anything else we want to add to the research list? All right, do we, Tim or Johnny, do we need a motion to refer this to research, or is this discussion sufficient? Jill, before either of you answer, let's take Jill's question.
I think it would be worth researching who owns the property that this detention or retention feature is on, because typically they are on private property and the local municipality does not have any responsibility to maintain this kind of stormwater feature. All it's doing, if it's doing what I think most detention and retention ponds do, is it retains water so that water can run off-site at historical rates, in response to paving and creating other impermeable surfaces, reducing infiltration. You can't, divert all that water at a very fast rate to down gradient properties. So what would happen if it turned out that was on a private property owned by, it's across the street from a Costco, it's probably owned by a developer, or can we go and this is me being naive, can we just go around naming features on private property?
I might invite Shelley to kind of characterize that, but yeah, we are invited. Actually, the very first naming proposal that we thought would be a bit of a breeze the board ever considered was to rename a pond or small lake that was on private property by the private property owner. It was now in this case, it was former Forest Service land that they had acquired. And at the end of the day, that name was associated with an agricultural brand, and we ended up denying that request. So Shelley might have some more information there.
Yeah, so though it's not explicitly stated, we do look to get consent from the land owner, the private landowner. And as we release our new proposal form, that's going to be one of the criteria is that the proponent's going to have to submit evidence that the private landowner is aware and supportive of the proposal.
Thank you. Nikki?
Sure. So just going back to Thomas's question, in the packet, there's a quote from the proponent that says, at least the couple hundred employees here at the headquarters refer to this lake as Lake Reed. So that gives us a little bit of a window into how many people might refer to it as Lake Reed.
It does. And I'll add, recognizing Matt's got his hand up, I will add that one question I have is, are there other businesses around there with a couple hundred employees who refer to it as something else? And I don't know exactly how we find that out, but I'm not sure that that's necessarily probatory, his representation about just the employees at Frontier. Matt?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The land is owned by the city and county of Denver.
Thank you. Shelley, did you have something else? Or is your hand up from the last one?
Sorry, I forgot to lower it.
That's okay. All right. Tim, Johnny, any sense about whether we need a motion for this?
Yeah, so the proper motion in this case, and I'll let you tackle, I see Dr. Redhorse has her hand up there in a second. But just for a matter of process, it would be appropriate if we are in favor of moving it forward to final consideration, with the instructions of following up with the various entities that we have all discussed. So that would be how we would normally move these from introduction to final consideration.
What if the board isn't certain if they what if these questions need to be answered for the board to know if they want to move it to final consideration? Can it continue can we table the introduction, I guess?
Johnny?
So the workflow is it gets introduced and then we do the research and then we put it on for consideration. And then once all of our research and other questions have been answered, then we can move it to final consideration.
Okay, there you go. I stand corrected. I'm sorry.
So let's hear from Dr. Redhorse, and then I have a clarifying question on that.
I also have a clarifying question. It's just Catherine, and I'm not a doctor, and I want to make sure.
Oh.
Yes. I think my clarifying question is that I think we should have facts before we do the outreach to any other entities, because I think it's important, right, if the city and county in Denver already have a name or et cetera, et cetera. But my question then in terms of processes is that I think, right, we have 121 or 20 days for the tribes to respond, Southern Ute and Ute Mountain to respond to such proposals. And so but I think that starts after the proposal has been introduced. But if we need to learn the facts first, I guess, how does that look? And I just want to pose that to the group.
That's exactly in my line of thinking here, that I'm not sure I'm comfortable making a board recommendation to move forward to a final consideration. And I'm concerned about starting a 120-day clock before we have the information that we'll need to do that outreach. So Tim, Johnny, help me on what you've got our process document, I'm assuming, right here in the chat. Is that what that is?
So just put the process document in the chat there, page 3. as Johnny articulated, we've got the proposal introduction, and where we will review it for the first time at a board meeting. And then because of the difficulty of contacting everyone who may be familiar with it, the board relies on comments submitted from the public. During the proposal introduction, the board will review the outreach conducted by the USBGN, determine if there are others who we should be made aware. And then between the proposal introduction and the next stage of the process, we will solicit written and verbal public comments from those additional groups or individuals. And then the board will identify next steps for the name change proposal, including considering whether the nomination of a board member as the steward for the name change proposal is warranted, considering whether we need a committee. And then after we complete the proposal introduction phase, the name change proposal will be ready for review, which will occur at a subsequent board meeting for consideration.
And so then that will be, once we move the name change proposal to review after the proposal introduction phase, that is when our 120-day period begins. I know that was something we added, correct? Is that lower in the document? My apologies, everyone. I'm very rusty. We haven't done this for a little while.
Yeah, I'm scanning right now.
Was that I'm not sure that was in our process document. Was that an additional policy?
We did, yeah, and so we did amend it. I don't know if it's included in this document or.
I'm control F in 120 and I don't find anything. I know this seems perhaps a little, I don't know, pedantic, but I think it is important that we make the right proposal for how we move forward at this stage today. Stacy.
This was discussed and voted, well, not voted on.
Yeah.
I can't remember the procedural piece that our previous AAG Mercer had walked us through last spring. I'd have to go back and look at that, but it was supposed to be updated accordingly by our AAG at the time in these documents. So I will make sure to at least at our next meeting to have an update on that piece, just to make sure that we have that down in the public record after our discussion today.
Thank you. And Sarah, do you have anything to add to that?
Not at this time, but I am gonna look through, the documents I have from AAG Mercer and help run this down. And I'm happy to work with you on that.
Thank you. So I guess given that, I think we can move forward with a motion that gets us to the research phase of this, and we'll have clarity next meeting as to whether the 120 days kicked off or not. And I will also add that the board, at our discretion, we can extend that period. It's not that once those 120 days hit the calendar day that's the end of it. The board can always opt to push it out a little further. Stacy.
Yes, Chair Stout, and if I can add, that was a really good point to make, that that time frame can be extended, and also at any point in time before a final vote is taken, we can receive any comments or requests from entities on that particular proposal, including tribal governments, as well as other maybe native-led organizations or commissions that we want to outreach to.
Thank you. That does give me some comfort, knowing that, acknowledging that we have flexibility as a board. I'll take the board's temperature at this point, and I can either do that informally by asking if anybody has any thoughts they want to share about how the board may want to proceed, or by entertaining a motion to that effect as well. is there an appetite on the board right now to consider a motion to move this forward for consideration to begin the process of, with the formation of a subcommittee, or at least appointment of individuals to do the specific research that they volunteered to do, and therefore move it into the consideration phase? Or is the board uncomfortable or unsupportive of moving this proposal forward at all? Or is the board looking to table this? We have sort of a range of options here, and I would turn to the board for thoughts.
Madam Chair, I would move that we forward this into the research stage. Just as a matter of background, though, we have even denied proposals outright, I believe, and not moved them beyond the introduction and just denied them right then and there.
Correct. That is absolutely at the board's discretion at this phase. I think we did that at the October meeting, in fact. So again, that is perfectly acceptable. That said, we do have a motion on the table by Deputy Director Mock to forward this to the research stage.
I would second that motion.
Okay, thank you. So we have a motion on the table by Deputy Director Mock and a second by Dr. Gonzalez. As it relates to the introduction of USBGN case 6084, changing an unnamed feature to Lake Reed. And the motion is to move that proposal into a research phase. Any discussion on that motion? Okay, Jill?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Lake is a big word for this little 1.8 acre detention pond. I would, if I were a committee of one, I would send this back to the proponent and say, think about pond, but I'm also fine with doing the moving forward. So I just had to say that.
Thank you. Okay. Any other discussion on the motion? Then I will call for a vote on moving USBGN case 6084 into a research phase. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, hearing no opposition and no abstentions, that motion carries, and we will move that case into research. Is there clarity from everybody who is assigned something about what you are tasked with looking into for the board? Okay. All right, let's then get to our last introduction. This is case 6144, USBGN case 6144, and this is considering an unnamed feature, naming it Lamonte or Lamonte. I'm not sure what the pronunciation is here. Peak. And Tim, I'll let you butcher the pronunciation so that I don't have to again.
Getting pretty good at that. So I'm going to go with this is a proposal to name a currently unnamed feature to Lamonte Peak. It is located in La Plata County and Montezuma counties. The federal agency is located on BLM lands in the Tres Rios field office. The proponent is Randall Buxton. I do not see Mr. Buxton here today. Elevation is 8,485 feet. It's 7 miles northeast of Lewis Mesa and 5.75 miles northeast of Cavernous Mountain. It's submitted by a local resident to make official the name Lamonte Peak for an 8,845-foot summit in Montezuma County and La Plata County. The proponent reports that the name is used in a Federal Communications Commission license for a radio tower on top of the summit, and that the name is recognized by the county government. The meaning of the name is unknown. The summit is also referred to as Lamonte Peak on listofjohn.com. The site reports 10 user reported ascents of the peak. The peakbagger.com website records the summit as an unnamed peak, but includes the link to the listofjohn.com entry. USBGN conducted some additional outreach to La Plata County, Montezuma County, and the BLM, as well as the federally recognized tribes. La Plata County does not take a position on this request and would like to monitor the process. The county urges the BGN to communicate directly with the two sovereign nations that reside within La Plata County, the Southern Ute Indian Tribe and the Ute Mountain Ute Tribe. Montezuma County has no objections. We don't really, other than what might be listed on one of those websites, there's unpublished names, there's none found. This was from the USBGN packet. And I think that's about all we've got on it right now.
All right. Then that brings us to the board for discussion on what information is needed for the board to be able to consider a recommendation to move this forward for consideration, not move it forward for consideration, or otherwise. I'll start by asking, is there more information other than what we will do as our standard process, which would be outreach to the tribes? Is there any other information the board would need to be able to make a decision about this case at this stage? Okay, Eric, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I'm fine moving this one forward to the consideration phase and review by the tribes as appropriate.
Okay, would you like to make a motion to that effect?
I will make a motion to that effect.
All right.
I'll try to get it. I move that the committee take this to the consideration phase, conducting more research and review by necessary parties, including the tribes.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Anybody?
As part of discussion, obviously, I think we should certainly reach out to the Ute Mountain Ute the Ute and Ute Mountain Ute tribes for further input, especially per La Plata County's interest on this. It's interesting that the radio tower communications, it sounds like, are for La Plata County, but yet they don't outright support the proposal and have just chosen a monitor position. Other than that, I think it could be quite tricky to find where Lamonte Peak originated. And so that'll be kind of interesting to do. I don't know if there's a historical society to reach out to and try and get their input or not.
Okay. We have a motion on the table to move this forward.
This is Rich. Can I second that motion?
You sure can. Any other discussion on the motion? All right, we have a motion by Eric Bergman to move case number USBGN 6144 forward and to begin conducting the appropriate research. We have a second from Commissioner Cimino. You are still commissioner, correct?
No, I no longer am commissioner.
Okay,
no.
Then Mr. Cimino, former commissioner. All right. We will go ahead and call for a vote on this. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, please say nay. And any abstentions? All right, then that motion carries and we will move USBGN 6144 forward. All right, that concludes our naming business, and it brings us now to our agenda item 12, which is the COGNA, or Council of Geographic Naming Authorities Conference, being hosted here in Colorado, August 19th through 22nd of this year, and hosted with us, the Colorado Geographic Naming Advisory Board, as the hosts. So I am not sure if this is Johnny or Rich who wants to give us the update on where this one stands. I think it's you, Rich. But I'm just watching. I'm watching
Thank
Johnny
you,
square.
Madam
so.
Chair. I'll do an introduction perhaps, and I think Johnny can save me from anything I overlook. But yeah, we've been meeting quite a bit to try to get some ideas about the tour and about some speakers and about topics. And we finally roped in our national leader, Dr. Christine, last meeting we had. And so I think she might be somewhat taking the reins now as far as finalizing the agenda and recruiting people to attend. Tim really designed a really good tour, I think, and looks like we have the buses to accommodate that tour. And yeah, the agenda's coming together. I think things are looking pretty good. We might have a few more speakers to fill, but Johnny, what other updates do you have for the board?
You did really well. Thank you. Thank you, Rich. So it's August 19th to the 22nd. Christine, as we mentioned, is taking kind of a lead now, getting registrations, hotel blocks. We have all that in place. We have the tour bus in place. And we just need to know if you guys want to attend. I don't know, Tim, if DNR can handle the registration and the hotel blocks. We're still discussing that. So if you have information that we can share, or
Tim, anything you want to add at this point?
No, as we mentioned, it's going to be conducted just outside of the city of Golden, at the hotel there. Johnny, I'm sorry, I'm kind of juggling a couple of things kind of going on here. So I apologize for being a bit of a space cadet. Basically, it's about a day and a half of meetings, conferencing, and then we'll do a toponomic tour. We're going to be traveling largely the 103 corridor, I-70 to 103, up through Idaho Springs into Georgetown, and then come back down around towards Evergreen, with some stops at Mount Mestahay and Mount Blue Sky. In terms of registration, Johnny, we do have a hotel that is blocked, and I think that that's something that we would like, if you all are interested in participating, let Johnny know. If you plan on attending, you're certainly welcome. And then before this meeting, usually what we have is associated with these conferences is the USBGN will conduct one of their board meetings in the final consideration of naming geographic features. Not sure if that's going to happen quite yet this year, but I was just talking to Shelley before we jumped on the meeting, that they are working with her board right now to understand if that will take place or not. So, what was the other question there, Johnny?
I was just wondering, yeah, if is DNR paying registration and hotel?
Yeah, let us find that out. I believe that we are able to accommodate, but we will get an email out to everybody. And if you could be thinking about setting aside those dates if you're interested, and we'll get back to you on that. We're given the tight budget conversations, we've kind of gone back and forth with the budget team on this one over the last couple of months, and it's been a bit of a moving target as we kind of enter the 25-26 fiscal year here.
Thank you so much. Any questions from anybody about the conference? want to take this opportunity to really thank the committee that has taken this on. I have not been on the committee meeting, so I can't name all of you, but I know that Johnny, Tim, Rich, and is there anybody else who's been active on that committee?
Jill has.
Jill, thank you. So thank you all for thanks for putting your time into this. I think it's going to be a really good conference, and we're going to set the bar pretty high for Cogna. All right. Now we will move into our public comment portion of the meeting. I see we have 3 attendees from the public. Is there anybody on who would like to speak, who would like to address the board? Okay, seeing no one, that brings us to our next agenda item, which is determining a date for the next meeting. So this could take a little bit of time to try to coordinate schedules, but the suggestion earlier from Tim was that we look at July, and I want to make sure that we give DNR staff enough time to be able to put together the packet and get everything out. So do we want to look at the week of I'm assuming the week of the 6th is too early. Johnny, is that correct? Okay.
I'm going to start the bidding at perhaps the week of the 21st, Johnny.
Perfect. Anybody have preference between, let's say, Monday or Tuesday of that week? I think we'll stick with the 5 p.m. time because that seems to accommodate everyone well. And it also is, I assume, easier for members of the public to be able to join, which I think is very important with the work we're doing. Want to look at Monday the 21st to start? Okay, let's see. Is there anybody who could not do Monday, July 21st from 5 to 6:30? I think this is a first.
That's we need a recount.
Let me give everybody a couple of minutes to object. All right, I think we have a meeting date. That was the fastest scheduling I think I've ever done in my life with a group of people. So thank you all. All right, so we'll get an invite out. Johnny will handle that for all of us so that will be blocked on your calendars. But if you could do us a favor and please put a hold so that this perfect scheduling moment does not get ruined. I appreciate it. Thank you to the staff at DNR for everything you're doing to keep this board going and organized and professional. And thanks to the board for all your time. Thank you to the members of the public who have joined and are watching our work and keeping us transparent. And we'll see you all in a month.
Thank you.
See you later.
Thank you.